For those of you with good memories, you might remember that recently I did a video introducing everyone to the newest tier and the final tier of Season 9, Pantheon. But in this I talked about the new War Games, which, yes, that ended up being a complete train wreck, but it did give us a hint at what was to come for Season 10. And in the new description of how to play War Games, there was a brand new set of cards with a brand new set of stats, but the stats weren't normal, they weren't thousands, millions. These were very simple, basic numbers, which gave a potential that something big was going to happen. And at this point, it was just a theory, not an Austin theory, but a SuperCard theory. That Season 10 would be a reset of stats back down to what we used to know at the very beginning of the game, making things so much simpler than millions and millions and millions. We'd go down to tens and hundreds instead, which personally I liked.
But that's just a theory.
What I have for you today may be stone cold proof that this is going to happen. And not just that, but potentially footage from Season 10 showing these new stats in the flesh. But with 5 weeks away from Season 10 itself, I want to ask you, what one thing would you add or change for Season 10? Other than the stats, I want modes, I want superstars, maybe even CM Punk. Yes, because that seems like that might be a possibility. Now, just for those, because there's some people on Twitter who've been saying they didn't appreciate the last video because it might be spoiling Season 10. If you don't want to see what's coming up for Season 10, then spoiler alert, that's all I can say up front. Before we get started though, if you want to see more information about SuperCard Season 10, then you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, and I take a big punch, run up and bow! Ow, okay. I punched it so hard it took a screenshot. No lie. Okay, don't do that too hard. You might actually hurt yourself. I actually caught my fingers. And if you find a secret word that's hidden in this video, then please drop it into your comments and I'll give you a heart just for doing so. Anyway, back to Spoilerville apparently. Well, this actually came, and in fact, most of this has come from Cat Daddy themselves. Not only did we have the in-game guide showing, and they haven't changed that, so maybe it was intentional to show this. Maybe I'm just guessing. But actually, before this guide showed up, they'd sent out a teaser for the Edge Giants Unleashed event, and there's something really weird about those cards, yeah, because none of the stats were right. Hindsight, they were correct, because all of the procs are now single digits. Now, what would happen if this stat reset was to go through, based on theory anyway, is that you'd take away the millions and you'd round to the nearest number, unless they made some alterations, like they did that Miz card, which I've got on screen for you, showing the comparison between Season 9 Miz and a Season 10 Miz. But let's go and actually compare a single card, which I've got a couple that left. Bron Breakker, we'll have a look, and he has a 3.176 million to power and toughness. So to increase that to 4, I'm imagining maybe to differentiate it from the myth cards and the WrestleManias. So it does look like they're doing some alterations to the stats, even if they're very slight alterations. If I go to this mosh, this would be rounding up to 3, because the proc is unleveled and unchanged. But we see again with the Bianca Belair for WrestleMania 39 tier that they've changed it to go down to 3 for the proc boost, instead of rounding it down to 2. So it does look like if it's over the number, the base number, it then goes up to the next number instead of rounding down to the previous number. It's a little bit confusing, but I'm guessing they've made some changes to certain cards to make sure they're balanced. Wouldn't be surprising, even if it doesn't follow the flow of rounding up or rounding down the numbers. So that was the first one, which again we all laughed off. See, they got single numbers in the proc, but actually it was a slight mistake on their part, or maybe it was a little hint and they were planting the seeds for them to reveal this later on. Then on the Apple App Store, a new update dropped, a Randy Orton where the proc, there's no stats, is +4, the same as the Edge was +4 as well. And at this point, it looks a little bit less coincidental than deliberate. Talking about planting seeds, the guys over at WWE SuperCard News also noticed this change in icon for the app, which has since been removed. Shout out to my boy Entro over there who runs the page. And there were two variations of these. One that looks like it's got shattered shards or some kind of debris in the background with the red and the blue, and the other seems to have a X sign in the background. No, that's not Twitter's new name. I'm talking the Roman numeral X, potentially to say season 10 or season X. Elon Musk has kind of ruined the whole X thing. It'd be pretty cool as a nice little symbolism. Interestingly enough, in game, you may have seen a random logo pop up. News is announced, which shows the SuperCard logo long ways with a background that has red at the bottom or blue on the top or the other way around. Again, this was randomly added, and this has happened before, actually around about the same time in season 8. But now on to the potential gameplay or footage of season 10. Really? Now I'm busy. Okay, I've been given this notice. Like or else. I have no idea what this is for, but that's what I've been sent. Strange. Anyway, this I was actually found on ArtStation, and it was too interesting for me not to talk about. It was actually posted a couple of weeks ago, and I have sat on it for a little bit just to make sure that I had all the information I needed. I will link the details of the person who posted this. I'm not going to shout their names out because I don't want them to get in trouble. It seems like they work over at Cat Daddy, and my intention is just to kind of give you guys the information you need. And I mean, Cat Daddy have already, with all these other leaks, kind of confirmed it already, but this looks like footage from in-game in season 10. When I say looks like, we have no actual in-game play fighting, but the stats are there in the flesh. You can see the changes to cards like Damian Priest, Jimmy Uso, Santos Escobar. All of these are cards that we have right now in season 9, but the changes to the stats are pretty evident. But even better is it shows what's going to happen to the older cards as well, as one of my bigger questions from the other video seems to be answered. Where is the cutoff? Because if you go back past a certain point in season 8, the stats will be too low for the stat changes to make a big difference. It would end up being just as complicated as it is now. But what we see in this potential footage from season 10 is that from a certain tier downwards, those cards will be unusable going forward. Now, I will say there's no guarantee these won't work in Wild, or the Wild will keep the million setting for the stats, but I doubt it. So it does look like there will be a hard cutoff from Ronin tier downwards. Therefore, Ronin would take common tier's place in season 10, and the first rarity tier would be Arcane. This is evidenced by the Bianca Belair card, which has its existing stats. I also did a little bit of a check just to do my own research, and it does look like the WrestleMania cards and Road to WrestleMania cards from season 8 will struggle to fit in this new stat banding. I mean, it makes it almost impossible to actually have cards that compete. The same goes for the Undertaker and Ronin tier, the Seth freaking Rollins from Last Man Standing. The card stats are pretty much the same, meaning it's impossible without support cards and equipment to make the cards any different from each other. They'd all be around about the same stat points. Perhaps the card cutoff is higher, but all evidence is pointing to Ronin tier being the cutoff as to whether that card is usable in all modes or not. Now, everything else beforehand could have been just edited stats, could have been a change, a nice little teaser of what might be to come in the future. This, however, being in the flesh, being physically recorded and placed onto the internet, gives us every proof that we need to say that what has been theorized is coming to reality, where certain tiers will effectively be banished to the catalog forevermore, which might explain why they're trying to throw legacy cards at us, especially as going forward, those legacy cards may just be images without stats, with no functional use whatsoever. Now, I do think this needed to happen because the hundreds of millions going to billions of stat points were going to eventually cause a problem, especially considering that the game has a hissy fit. Every time you go over 1 billion stat points, the game makes you lose, which is hilarious in its own right. Now, it's important to mention that I did not post this. This was posted by someone who apparently works at Cat Daddy onto a public website. I was able to find it with a Google search just to put this out there. It is, however, unofficial, and until it's confirmed by them, it's purely rumor and speculation, but it certainly looks like this is the path we're going down. So if this doesn't end up happening for one reason or another, don't come back to me and blame me. I'm just showing you what I've seen with my own eyes. Until it's confirmed by 2K, Cat Daddy, or the SuperCard gods, I would certainly say that this is to be taken with a pinch of salt, even if the salt count is getting less and less each time I do a video. Season 10 is going to be exciting, yo. Anyway, I have been JB, this has been SuperZombGBBQ, and you have been awesome for watching this video. Like I said, if you want to see everything SuperCard related, then hit the subscribe button. But we don't just do SuperCard. In fact, a My Faction video is coming because there's going to be some crazy content dropping into WWE 2K23 real soon, and I can't wait to see it. Make sure you leave your comment down below with the one thing you want to see changed or added to Season 10. Anyway, look after yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.